A little.
OMG. Oh my
Hi,
God.
Jamie.
Hi. We're live.
2021.
2021, and we are off to a banging start because I'm having technical
We
difficulties.
are. Well, you can check your technical difficulties, Jamie, while I think
Check them at
about
the door.
um, playing our theme song. Shall I? And you
Please
can
do.
dance, but no one will see you.
It's the show that nobody asked for, the only reason that we shower. If these ovaries could talk is live right now.
I
Oh,
mean, come on. Come
I
on.
mean, I mean, how do I sound? Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hi,
hi,
Emily.
Emily.
Can everybody
Welcome.
hear
Yes,
me?
you sound great, Jamie. You sound good.
Well, now you got me all paranoid.
I know, I know. We were having some technical difficulties. You'll be surprised to hear that Jamie was having the technical difficulties, and
I don't. I
and
don't think they're surprised. Julie,
we missed
hi.
you too. Woo! By the way, hopefully our guest is able to come back in.
Yeah,
So that's going to be an interesting thing here.
we do
So
have a guest today. She's fabulous, but we're going to get to that.
we do. And first, what we're going to do before that, Jamie, is what?
Hot topics. I almost forgot. I almost
I,
forgot what we were
I
going to do.
know you almost forgot our little theme song. I'm
Uh,
testing out some. I'm testing out some new little looks. I like the bubbles. It matches
I
our
like the
brand.
bubbles. I like the bubbles too. I actually really enjoy them. Good idea.
Thanks, Jamie. And
No
everybody, by the
problem.
way, say hello to us when you're here and all this. So we're back. Hi, Bianca. Just hang out in the waiting room for us. Now that we got you back, yay!
Yay, Bianca.
Um, so we're back from our little break. It was 3 weeks, and it's weird. I think we have to acknowledge that democracy could possibly be crumbling while we're doing this live stream.
Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God, you guys. What the
I mean, so
actual.
yesterday Jamie was on the playground or
As I
something,
always
and
am.
I was texting her and I was like, Jamie, like, can you believe this shit? And she was like, what? And I was like, Jamie, the
I'm
world
on the
is literally
playground.
on fire. Oh, your mom's here, Jamie.
Hi,
Um,
Mom.
the world is literally on fire.
I mean,
People are storming the Capitol, and we were like, should we post something? We're like, absolutely not. Who knows where this is going to go? And then it went south.
yeah, and then somebody got shot. And I'm on the playground and I'm getting updates from Robin, and then I'm getting updates from Anne, and I'm getting updates from Karen and Toby, and I'm getting updates from my friend Bianca. So my phone is blowing up with all these updates while I'm, like watching my kid on the playground. Oh, like
I mean,
it's
I pretty much around like 2:30 just closed my laptop. Well, I kept it open so I could be texting people, and then just was like, I'm done working. I have to just sit and watch this. And my son was like, how could you possibly be watching 10 hours of news? And I was like, because this hasn't happened since 1812. That's why. Because
yeah,
because
and this is a little crazy.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Hi,
Oh my
Cassie.
God. Hi,
So we had to
Cassie.
acknowledge it is weird before we talk about how our break was. Jamie, how was your break? We had like 3 solid weeks off.
It was a long time.
It was great.
See, this is where the phases in parenting is a little different,
A little bit.
because for me, actually going to work is a bit of a vacation. I like going to work at this point in my life because if not, I'm, watching children and playing
You
playing
should say watching
Barbies.
my children. It sounds a little more,
I'm
like you're not just
nannying.
like running a babysitting club.
I'm playing Barbies, or I'm putting together a train set, and or we were so smart and we got this rug that has like roads on it for the kids room.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you know what that means, though? Do you know what that means for me?
Mama,
That means
come
I'm on
play
my
with me.
hands and my knees
Yeah.
with cars going
No.
along the track
Nope.
racing my son. Yeah,
Nope.
this is what I do all day. So going to work is actually fun for me. So 3 weeks was a long time. And I missed you guys. I missed you a lot. Just
Meanwhile, like
missed
I
you.
was like binge watching. I finished The Crown. I'm in the middle of The Wilds, which anybody like. There's some lesbian action in The Wilds. It's on Amazon Prime. Check that out. Some chicks making out in the woods, which we
We all
kind of
like
dig
that.
on a deserted island. I mean, I saw so many shows. It was like delightful,
I don't know.
delightful.
I don't know. I started watching this show called Alone, where they just get dropped in the middle of nowhere and they have to like survive. That's some good stuff. That's crazy. They're eating like moose,
Moose. I think moose is plural.
and
Meese.
chipmunks or squirrels and squirrel intestines just to keep their
No,
protein
thank you.
alive or something. It
No,
was
thank
crazy.
you.
That's what
Is
I watched.
is anybody doing dry January? Both Jamie and I are doing dry January, which is a little weird. I mean, I'm still doing no pants January. Yes, this is seltzer with a splash of orange juice.
Yeah,
and I haven't found my way to pants, but I am finding my way to like taking a break from the booze for the month. I need to be a little less puffy.
Yeah, I just need a little bit, I feel out of control just because the world is out of control. So I need to add a little control.
Well, I feel like the vaccine made me feel like life is going to be coming back. And in that, I was like, I have to get back in a world where I put pants on. I have to get back in a world where I don't like think that every day is a weekend day. Like, it's like, I can't be, oh yeah. And by the way, I'm on a group text chat with my friends from college, and like 3 people were doing dry January, and they were all like, I'm giving it up for today. And I was like, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I might give it up for Saturday.
By the way, when we were getting ready to come in here, Jamie was like, so how you doing on the dry January? I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And she's like, so like, how long are you doing this for? I was like, January. And she was like,
I didn't know that we never said dry January. You just said I wanted to get back to weekend drinking.
No,
I can stand for that.
No, weekend drinking is down the road. I got to do dry January first.
I mean, I'm on board.
And then she was like, well, what about this weekend? I was like, no, it's dry January.
I was thinking that you were going to I was thinking I was going to go all January. And then I was like, well, Robin said that she was going to drink on the weekend, like have a drink on the weekend. So then maybe I'll have a drink on the weekend too. So I was really contemplating that on my way to do this live stream.
Maybe Robin will want to have a drink on the live stream. And if she does, then I will have to do it for our art.
Yeah. No, I don't, it feels better to, be putting healthy things in my body.
For sure. I'm just much more likely to take care of myself everywhere if I'm doing that.
Oh, look at
Oh, congratulations.
That's so amazing. Congrats, guys.
By the way, there's a little bit of shame in the end there from Alana. You can do a month.
You can. I've actually done a month before, not pregnancy. So that I have done that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, count?
No, I don't think so. That's kind of like the bare minimum that you can do as a parent.
Yeah. Anyway, well,
you didn't have to in the 70s. My mom was all, and that's probably what happened to me. So let's bring in our guest, Bianca Sprague from Jimmy. You say the company because I'm going to screw it up. I got in my head about it.
Oh my God,
Bebo. God damn it, Robin. Sorry,
Bebo Mia.
Well, let's bring her in and let's.
Bebo Mia.
And it's like I got in my head about the name of your company, and then all of a sudden I couldn't say it.
That's fair.
That's why I'm here. Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
Look at Alana telling us she believes in us. Look at that.
She's the best cheerleader ever.
Somebody believes in us.
I'm gonna have her on my text when on the weekend. When my
you got this, Jamie. You got this.
Yes.
Hi, Bianca. How are you?
I'm well. Yeah, I'm good. Back in the swing of things. I can relate to everything you're talking about. We're on the teen end of parenting now, so it feels a bit different. And so we don't have to be on the ground playing with cars on the mats anymore. Thank goodness. Not that we did a very good job of it then, but
I'm not a good player. I just realized I'm not a player. I don't like to play.
I'm bad at crafts. I will not do crafts. I hate crafts.
I always like them in theory, but then it gets messy and I'm real type A. And so then it starts getting no, you don't mix the plate. No, we're doing first this. And then I'm no, you don't color. That's not what the craft is. 2 eyes on the snowman. 2 eyes.
Oh
my God, that's so me. That's so me.
I'm really not like that. I'm just clean up. You just put that paintbrush on the table. Put it over here. I'm just more about surface clean.
Oh my God, I'm horrible. I'm both those things. I'm horrible because I'm a mess about them. I don't want it to be messy, and then I also don't want any of the crap.
We found our loophole is that I'm the project manager, and we buy all the really big fancy Lego sets. And then we can do them as a family, and then we do time-lapse videos, which makes it really fun. But I'm a little tyrannical about so I get the manual, and I'm you get to sort those, you do this, and then the 3 of us can build whatever the latest greatest giant. So now we've got the most giant Lego sets in our home.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Because how old is your kid?
She's 13.
13.
But she's a different kind of 13. She'd still like doing Lego with her mums. She thinks her mums are super fun to hang out with. So.
Look at her. That's kind of how Robin's kids are. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Mine
They
are
both
9 and
do.
11, and they still want to hang out with me and stuff for the most
Yeah,
part.
no, Gray really likes hanging out with us. And so I'm like enjoying it while we can, but like we're not playing mums. We'll like read. She likes really discussing social justice and politics stuff. So it's great. As soon as she's like, so there's this show, we're like, no, let's go back to discussing what's happening with the Republican Party. We're gonna bring it back over here.
That's exactly. I'd say I prefer either sports or like real talk, but I'm not good at the rest of it. Like today, Henry was standing in the doorway and we were watching the news this morning. He was like, wait, are we the Republicans or Democrats? I was like, we're Democrats. He was like, got it.
Yeah,
I was like, that's probably awful, but whatever.
Blue.
Bianca, go blue. Let's talk, Bianca, about you. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Elevator time.
Oh, pitch time. Okay, here we go. No, my name is Bianca Sprague. I live in Toronto with my wife, Alana, who's cheerleading along the bottom here, and our daughter, Gray, who's a really rad little human. And I started Bebo Mia 13 years ago, really because I found the experience of parenting like wildly riddled with suffering for me. And I found like we're talking about, the like relationship part really joyful, but the work of it just like clouded all of that. The playing, the like another glass of water, booking camps, like cleaning out toys, like all that shit. I was like, I don't want to do it. And so I started really truly being like, I want parents to have a place where they can talk about like parenting really sucks and we can love our children and still say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, to be like, I hate being a mom, and then people are like, oh, I'm like, I love my daughter. I would like slay dragons for her.
It's just a really hard job that is nonstop. Yes.
It's thankless. It's garbage. It's all consuming. Like the emotional labor, like your head never stops. Alana and I, now there's two of us, so you guys can relate to this, that she'll be like, did you do summer camp? And I'm like, yeah, I put it in the calendar. And then I'll be like, did you get the skis? And she's like, yeah, they're in the garage. And I'm like, oh, like, so we're both like all the time.
In my house, it's like, babe, you forgot the skis.
Babe, the skis. By the way, it's also harder because no one's talking about it the way that you do and like we do. It's like nobody, like there's so much shame around saying it's as if you pushed your child out of the nest at birth if you say these kinds of things.
Yeah, totally. Like people look at me like just horrified, and I'm like, we have to. So then as I started working with parents, then I started being able to like really unpack like essentially what's happening with intersectionality is like, oh my goodness, not only do my queer clients experience this, but then if they're like not of owning class, or if they're living with a visible disability, or if they're from the BIPOC community, or if they're gender expansive versus two femmes, like all these different nuances around how both their care, their outcomes, like postpartum mood disorders, like we started realizing within our organization that it was so much more than what started with like, let's create joy for the family. Now we're at this place of like, let's make sure everybody is alive by the time the baby's in arms, from their, fertility. And now, especially more than ever with, the isolation and so many options for care and joy and support have been removed for so many families, queer or otherwise. So with Bebo Mia, we educate practitioners around the world. Fortunately, we've always been online, so it wasn't a huge shift for our organization. Yeah, so we're in 36 countries now, and we have practitioners that are going out and proliferating, making sure that they provide amazing care for queer, BIPOC, folks living with disabilities, understanding fat politics, pick a thing, understanding like food insecurity, food poverty, and making sure that people going through their reproductive journeys are kept safe and informed and loved and celebrated and seen and validated. In a nutshell.
You said said something that fat politics. I'm not familiar with that. What is fat politics?
Yeah, so what started as body positivity, which really became co-opted and then was just like more stuff sold back to us as like a diet that's not that. And I'm like, as soon as we're talking about diet, or as soon as we're even having an opinion, or there's like a morality weight to what's going in our mouths or not going in our mouths, like now we're in fat phobia again. Even if we're focusing on like health because health and weight have nothing to do with each other. And so we're getting very clear that Meg, she's one of my directors. She's amazing.
Hey, Meg.
Meg and I are like super champions for just like celebrating all bodies and just like loving the shit out of like, you know, talking about how awesome fatness is like celebrating, making sure people are represented and taking away that stigma of the assumption of like thin is healthy, fat is not. Like pick a thing, and it's always, if weight wasn't, like weight is a factor.
Weight is always a factor.
Always a factor. And I'm like, it's not a factor for any of these things.
No.
When you said practitioners around, you're sending practitioners out into the world. What did you mean by that? Like who's coming to you, and then what are you doing with them, and where are they going?
Yeah, so we usually attract, actually, one of our biggest things is people come in that they want to work in reproductive health, either because they had an incredible birth experience, a tiny number of people, or they had trauma or like, you know, terrible care, bigger chunk of people. So they might come in like they were actually a copywriter or they were actually like a house cleaner. But we also then have a bunch of people who are, you know, therapists, nutritionists, nurses, lactation consultants, and they want to be able to provide, you know, better care to like widen their scope of understanding around the lived experience for more people, because as you know, everything is established in reproductive health for cis, hetero, able-bodied, white, thin, owning class. And so you go in, like, I know some of our cities now even will have like other parent, if there is one on the form, but 95% of places in North America still say like mother's name, father's name, or mom, dad, or those sorts of things. And so like, that's just something that we would all understand here, but you can expand that into pick anything. Like nothing's being recognized outside of this very, very small box of like normal, which is deeply problematic. Like even just like, again, the weight scale or like the assumptions of the different questions based on the color of your skin. And so we want to make sure that anyone working, either existing in those spaces because they're a massage therapist or they're a chiropractor, that they provide better care for folks going through their reproductive journey, or they want to go in and be birth workers. So we have we're trying to get away from the word doula because it's deeply racist and problematic, but birth workers.
Wait, what is it? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it means slave in Greek. Like that's what the word means.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Okay.
So like generally we have an understanding of what's the job of an enslaved person and the lack of autonomy and the ownership of so that's what it means. It means slave or a woman who serves in Greek.
Wow. Okay. What are we supposed to say instead of doula?
Some people say, like, we call them birth workers, which gets a little like tricky for the postpartum, but we still like count it. Some people say birth keepers. Some people say like, I don't know. There's people can self-identify, obviously, but there's a big gamut of what people like, protectors of birth. Like there's a whole bunch of different names, but we just went with birth worker because it felt right for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're working with all kinds of people to help bring all aspects of humanity to birthing and parenting.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, especially the preconception, because I mean, your book talks all about that. And it starts there a little bit. But even like some of our queer couples here in Toronto, which has like very progressive care relative to, I know, a lot of cities, still the amount of counseling people have to go through before they're even allowed to start their IUI as a same-sex couple, that is not a mandatory step for anybody else. But here it's funded for I think 2 or 3 rounds of IUI or 1 round of IVF. But you have to undergo counseling to like the same counseling that you would see if you were terminating a pregnancy. Right. But like hetero couples don't have to go in and counsel and make sure they understand like, how are you going to connect as the non-birth parent? And are you sure this is it? And this is the risk. And like, are you really sure you're ready to have a baby? So even that, like that step alone is,
we talked about that because we had Lisa, the therapist, on because not Jamie and I, obviously, since we don't have babies together, but me and my wife, they did require us. We definitely don't, Jamie. They required us to talk to the therapist, and I was so up in arms about it. I was so angry because I was just like, if we could make a baby, like I don't need you telling me. But then she did say a lot of interesting things that talked us, I think, would you say Jamie talked us out of that stance? Like,
well, yeah, just, she said that, it is helpful, if you look at it from the perspective of it is helpful to just see things from all angles before you go into it. But she also understood our frustration with having to go through it, especially if heterosexual couples do not have to go through that. And that's
as soon
really
as
the frustration.
Totally. And she just made shit taste like cake, because it's not. If it was the same, then I would have an angle that I could be like, okay. And the only place that I could say like, okay, would be in the case of surrogacy, when you need to discuss potentially the risks of either party not wanting to take responsibility for the child once born. Right. So there's parents that have abandoned a surrogate, which actually happens more than the belief that surrogates are going to steal the baby.
really?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
Didn't know this.
I did not know that.
So I think maybe those questions in the case of surrogacy, which would be open to everybody, because it doesn't matter what you're like, if gender expansive or otherwise, like it doesn't matter. Every single person, I believe, then should have that. Like, what's going to happen if this child is discovered in the third term to have, like disabilities, which, I mean, again, with disability politics, there shouldn't be a conversation, but like, let's say that comes up. Or like, what happens if your financial things change for the intended parents? Are you still going to take this child off the surrogate's hands? Right. Like, I could see in those cases, it's being really important to talk about the situations. But until every person needs to get therapy before they start their IUI or IVF, it's homophobia.
Yeah.
Like, and any other way of reframing it is just to make it like palatable for us, so that it doesn't feel like such a violation.
The only thing I will say in defense of Lisa, the therapist, and that clinic is anyone who gets a part from another person goes through it. So that could be a heterosexual couple. So if it's a husband, they're getting donor sperm, they go through it. And a lot of what she was talking about, the purpose of it is to help you talk about disclosure. I mean, so again, like my objection is always like, no. Right. And my objection is always like, I can research that on my own, like, but it's that anyway, just get to say that on behalf of
everything though. So there's that.
Yeah, well, I don't like to be told what to do, Bianca.
Who does?
I mean,
that's my most Bianca. That's my most hated thing. Why do you think I started my own organization?
There you go. And there you go. Listen, Bianca, I think that talking about postpartum and things, I'd love to delve into that, because I'm pretty positive I had postpartum after I gave birth, but I didn't know. Like a lot of times you have it and you don't know. And my doctors asked, you have like a question on the paper as you go into your postpartum appointment. One question that says, "Are you feeling down?" or something like that. Like,
are you sad sometimes?
Yes. Yeah, right. Like,
yes, I'm exhausted.
And there was.
Are you sad and tired?
Yeah, very extreme. But so.
He asked me, like, you had like your father had just died, like you were like in it. So it's like we had just started a business, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And she was like, I'm 9 months pregnant. Like, but you had a lot on your plate.
But also my postpartum wasn't depression, it was anxiety. And I didn't know that could be a symptom. I didn't, like, even when I'm doing Google searches and stuff, like, it just never dawned on me that, this is something that's happening because of giving birth. It was crazy. Like, I thought the baby was going to die every single second. Like, it was insane.
So this book, I just happened to have it on my fingertips. It's called Impossible Parenting by Olivia Scobie. She's queer. She, full disclosure, is my best friend. We just taught a class right before this about postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, and essentially Impossible Parenting. It's the first book to talk about mental health that's removed all gendered language. So it's
great.
It's amazing. And PPA, so postpartum anxiety, is actually way more common. And those intrusive thoughts are something that all parents have, because we now are responsible for another person in a way that you never are until you become a parent. So like, it's normal that you have that, like, oh my goodness, I just imagine dropping the baby down the stairs, or I just imagine the baby falling and sinking and I can't like get to them fast enough. I don't want to list too many things. Or all those things. And then as they get older, that like, this is going to happen. Like, my new intrusive thought is that Gray is going to get snatched off the street because she's like a beautiful mixed race, gorgeous, tall, 13-year-old girl. And so I just, like, every time she walks the dog, I'm like, she's going to get snatched into the back of a van. Like, like, and I like have to just be like, she's,
I knocked
you
one.
know, like,
I
That's
know.
by the way, that's like where I am at, is that new phase of like, I'm starting to let them do more stuff.
Yeah.
And then as we were starting to let them do more stuff, she got hit by a car, not with me. So it's
Yeah.
like, and then now I'm like, okay, I have to let her go out more. And like my anxiety is through the roof. Like
I know
if we-
people are, it's wild. People are like, why does your daughter have a brand new iPhone? I'm like, because it syncs to her mom's phones and we can track her everywhere, not because she's going to do anything bad, but because when she went to physical school, like we knew where she was, or when she walks to the store to pick up lettuce for us, like I can see she got to the market and now she's pinging her little dot on the way back. And like, it was $1,000 well spent for my peace of mind. Like, I'm fine with it. And they're like, a 13-year-old a cell phone. I was like, she doesn't have it any other time except when she leaves the house.
You were like, mind your business.
I know. And be quiet.
My kid.
Didn't ask for your opinion.
I know.
We're just gonna keep riffing on this.
But so those thoughts are like really normal, but it's when it becomes like all consuming, right? And then they just keep like grabbing you and you get stuck in the loop. And I love Olivia today was saying like we just need to be nicer to our amygdala. So that's the thing that like is our panic. Like you're gonna drop the baby down the stairs, and to be like, oh, thank you, you're really worried about me, so I'm gonna hold the handle and make sure I hold the baby tight. And like, thank you so much for like reminding me to be careful right now, or like, you know, and being like, thanks. She was like, I'm sassy. I'm like, shut up, don't boss me. But like, that's Olivia. But like just being like, yeah, I can see why this is scary, and like what have you done to mitigate the risk like you do anywhere else? Like you know, you put your knives away this way, you like you follow all these other steps. So like I thank you for flagging that there's a risk here, and like thank you for taking care of me and whomever else. And like I'll be okay here. So I've done what I can to make sure that I keep this as safe as possible. But that PPA is wild, and nobody talks about that.
No, and it's not asked about. My doctor didn't ask me about anything about it. You know, if I had had a heads up, then maybe I could have said like something's not right here. You know,
I don't think with either one of my kids. I don't think with either one of my kids the doctor asked me anything more than just like, are you know, like that same like, are you feeling blue? And I was just like, I don't know. Yeah.
They are doctors are not scaffolded to talk about mental health unless like even specifically. I mean, we do a terrible job talking about mental health in general, but the same way they don't talk about your pelvic floor. And like now we just have Vogue ads with sexy depends. And I'm like, why are you selling 30-year-old women diapers instead of just protecting our pelvic floor? Like,
this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. As a lady who sometimes pees, this is
I know
what
there's no excuse for that. That was doctors
for peeing. Thanks, Bianca.
I know. But we all do. Like we all make the jokes. How many times we can't go on the trampoline, kids? You want us to be our pants? We can't jump. Oh no, I sneezed. Or like all the group of ladies, like, oh, don't. Who's peed their pants now?
Don't
you're
make
like,
me laugh. Don't make me laugh.
Don't make me laugh. No, I'm in my pretty dress. But you're like, this is wrong. This is wrong.
Why is it so wrong, Bianca? Why?
Because if our pelvic floors were protected, if we talked about it the same way if somebody had told you what postpartum anxiety was, you would know like, oh, this is that thing. Like, it's not real. I know how to take care of it. I know why it happens. In the same way that we'd be like, this is why in childbirth we shouldn't like pull babies out. This is why we should have people talk about our, you know, doing Kegels. This is why doctors should protect the pelvic floor while the baby is being born. This is why even in a C-section, these are the things we can do to ensure your core and pelvic floor health. Like, no one knows what pelvic floor physios are. They're amazing, but they're just undoing the work of sloppy care professionals, right? Everything we do is retroactive. Like, well, they messed this up, and so now this is some things you can do. Like, our bodies were meant to have babies and go back to like not having us pee
and
our
not pee yourself.
Yeah,
I feel like while you're training birth workers, what your real mission is about, like educating people and putting like people at a good level out in the world to do the work. Am I right in that? Like, by a good level, I mean like certified, or, you know, just so it's like, because in some of these things, like I know I'm not supposed to say doula, so a birth worker, like it's just word of mouth, like who I'm getting, and I don't know what experience I'm getting or how good they're going to be. It's just like, oh, Louise used this person and that they seem good. The standard for education for like alternative care
is most of the time not regulated, which is really great because I don't want more regulation, because look at everything that's regulated is like essentially just goes through patriarchal white supremacy and is like gets their seal of approval. So I love that we're not, but the flip side is like people don't actually have to have training to be a birth worker. But ours is so comprehensive. It's a 2-year program. They're like in class, like it's a very intense program because we wanted to take all the things that were missing out in the world, my business partner and I, and create something that like was magic. And mostly you said what my mission is, and like really it's to like burn shit down because it's not serving us. Like find a system and it's not serving us, and we can like make it a little less uncomfortable, but like none of them, they're not taking care of like, okay, we're looking at the queerness here, like they're not taking care of queer families. Our schools aren't scaffolded, our medical system's not scaffolded, our like pick anything, or you know, some people they can't even marry their spouse should they choose to get patriarchy married. Like nothing is set up for us. And so I really, through our education, I really challenge our community to question things and ask why. Like, why is this happening? Why is this only for this group? Like, why did that Black birther get asked that, but like that white birther didn't? Like, why, when my clients are Indigenous, do they have to go through this whole other process as they do their intake, but like those people didn't? And so just like really questioning everything, like why certain image, like just for everything, images, language, process, all of it, because none of it's in service of us. We just, again, make it more comfortable.
It needs an overhaul.
Yeah. Like there's nothing. I know for us, even just like looking at school, how much time we have to go in to like scaffold and protect Gray, who's also queer, but like being queer spawn and a queer child, like how much work, like when she gets bullied about it, that we go in and do education about intersectionality, when people like just all of it. And even like people being like, sorry, like which mom, or like, you know, just all the, you guys understand all of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's just our kid going to school. That's like that much of our day.
All of the just the vetting we do. We do so much vetting just to make sure we're all going to be okay wherever we go in.
Right? Or like where you travel, like just all of it. And like none of it is in service. And the only way we can keep ourselves safe is with like so much vigilance and emotional labor. Like that's so much more on top of just existing as a human, which is really hard.
It definitely is.
During a global pandemic.
During a pandemic.
I know. Yeah. In a pandemic?
What?
Which is my answer for everything. People are like, hey, do you want to do trivia next week? In a pandemic? They're like, have you had a chance to do the reports? In a pandemic? Man, it's so like my answer for everything.
In a pandemic? We just went and got a COVID test for the family. We get regularly tested. And like, even just the intake, the question. Okay, so who's the mom? Which one's the last name? Wait, what's your last name? Kelton. Yeah. What's your last name? Woods. What's her last name? Kelton Woods. What? Like, it's like so... I can't believe the amount of explaining we have to do. And then like we get to the nurse and we're getting the test, and she looks to me, she looks at the kids, and then she looks at me and she goes, oh, you have beautiful children. Thinking that Anne is like a friend. I don't know. It's like the weirdest.
Oh, yeah.
She lives in the garden apartment downstairs.
Yeah. I know.
She's my roommate.
Yeah. I don't even, it's like.
I know. And like those like that's just like, oh man, it's so much stimulus. Like it's so much. Every time we go into the hospital, like Alana's always like, your friends can't come in. I'm like, it's my wife. Your friends can't sit on your bed. It's my wife. Like I can't.
Really.
And depending on what, like if I feel threatening to somebody or Alana does, and you saw Alana, she's like an adorable, cute little like chubby andro. So she's like really safe for some people. So they'll just talk to her. And then other people will like completely ignore her existence and just talk to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the passport office likes me and not you, but the principal likes you and not me. And so we just have to like go in to see who's, you know, got clout or validation to the person in front of them.
It's so weird. And
I just don't let Mary talk, and that solves a lot of problems.
It's like across the board how that goes. I don't know.
Well, listen, Bianca, can you tell people like where they can learn more about wait, can I say it? Am I in my head? Bebo Mia. You did it.
Bebo Mia. You did it.
Good God.
It's like baby with an O. Like
I just get up my head. I don't know.
Like it flows very nicely. Bebo Mia.
It
I know
was
it
a
sounds Italian.
ridiculous choice. It felt like really, it's Esperanto. It means my baby. And we were trying to find something that was going to be like sensitive to the fact we offered preconception services. And so we felt like we didn't want to have it be too in your face for people who were trying to conceive. And so we thought we were like real, like fancy and like scholarly.
Bebo Mia.
This was,
I
we
I
were
think
still in
you
our
are
20s.
fancy and scholarly.
I
We'll
like it a
we'll
lot.
take it.
Bebo Mia.
And now in our 40s, we're like, God, that was so ridiculous. No one can
it's
say our
not.
name.
No, it flows really nicely. I said it fine. You know
It's
what?
really,
Robin,
it's just me. I'm in my
Robin
head.
always has problems with names. I'm just
When
kidding.
I do, and as soon as I start thinking about it, then I'm like, oh, and then I screw it up.
Yeah, I know. I can
Anyway,
relate to that.
Where can people get more information on Bebo Mia?
Yeah,
did.
so we're all over the web. You can find us on our website at bebomia.com, bebomia.com. And then we have lots of cool stuff that we're doing all the time on our Facebook, which is facebook.com/Bebomia Inc., which is the same for our Twitter, which is the same for our Instagram. I don't really like Twitter, so like don't judge us on that. But we always, I know, right?
Okay.
But our Facebook has like really cool lectures and roundtables, and we shared tons of information. Our goal is like just keeping energy, resources, information, and flow as a feminist business. It's like very important to us. So even if nobody wants to sign up for a course, there's so much value you can get just hanging out in our community, because we just continue to like keep our doors open. There's no secret wall.
Inclusion, representation, it all matters. And
it super matters.
And Jamie and I are going to hang out in your community, and we don't mean that in a dirty way. Sorry, I had to say that.
Either way.
It sounded dirty.
Go into that place.
It was fun. Why didn't you just leave it vague? Like, we're going to hang out in our community, and then all the like straights are going to be like, what does that mean in lesbian? Be like,
they're coming after us. They're coming after us.
What does that mean in lesbian? I love that. Well, thank you so much for
rocks. What an amazing organization. Thank you for helping to change the world. From Cassie.
Thanks, Cassie.
Christy says, love the Bebo Babes.
Thanks, Crystal. Someone called us the Bebo Babes a few years ago, and then it stuck. We were like, all right, we love it.
So, I like that too. You can be a Bebo Babe.
I know.
I'll correct that too. I'll be like, Bibo Babes.
I know. I'm a
Bibo Babe. Baby Babes.
It's a problem. Robin's a problem sometimes.
Well, I am a problem. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I love your book. I love what you're doing. Keep these conversations going. The world needs to know what's happening for us.
Jamie, no prayer hands. No prayer hands. Bye, Bianca.
Thank you so much, Bianca.
Prayer hands, Jamie.
Namaste. Namaste. So good.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
We get to meet some spectacular people. I feel like we're not worthy, but
we're not worthy, Jamie, and everybody knows it. But we should probably stop telling them, "Oh, we're honorary Bebo Babes."
I'm a Bebo Babe. I'm a Bebo Babe.
Babe.
I love it.
All right, Jana. Jamie? What is happening to me? What is happening right now?
It's our first.
I'm also trying to do two things at once, and that doesn't work ever.
It's the first show that nobody asked for in 2021, and we're making it through.
It is.
2021 is turning out to be one con of a year, guys.
Oh my God, democracy, flames.
I'm
so
some type of way about it.
Listen, if you get a chance, please rate and review our podcast at Apple Podcasts, or rate and review the book at Amazon and Goodreads. Where else?
Or buy the book if you haven't. Go get that thing.
Because we don't even ask people to buy the book. We're just like, just rate and review it. That's cool. That'll work.
But
and then,
do it all, because that helps us.
Just spend an hour, just rating and reviewing, making up personalities, and doing that, and we will love you forever for that. What do you want to tell people about the new Mirror Kit, Jamie?
Oh wow, it's a great fertility kit. That you do it at home. So it's a fertility kit that you do it at home. You didn't tell me I was going to be talking about this. I need my script. Let me see if I can do it, without a script. It's really cool. So it'll tell you like all about all of your different fertility hormones before you start trying. So it's a really great before thing to do before you start trying to have a baby. It tells you your hormone levels, any any red lights that you should look for? I don't know. Help me out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it is. It's like a great way, especially if, like, let's say you're two people who want to carry. You may want to decide not just based on age, but based on state. So we have a deal on our website, and they have like a starter kit, and then they also have a new kit, and you're gonna get like it's $25 off using the code on our website. So check that out.
And it is great. That's really great way to for our community to use it, because if you're trying to decide who should get pregnant, this can help you decide without having to go to a fertility doctor, which could cost you thousands. This would cost you like $100+ with the discount.
And we also want to say we have a discount with BetterHelp, and we're only putting discounts on our website of products that we believe in. And BetterHelp is one that we really, 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 really believe strongly in. And it's like, like yesterday was a stressful day, and it's like it might not have been a bad idea to have like a BetterHelp person I could reach out to and be like, I'm feeling like the world's burning. And we have like 10% off your first month.
It's online therapy.
Yes.
You didn't know.
Thank you, Jamie.
I think we both think that therapy is good for everyone. So
for Jamie,
a discount.
It's good for Jamie.
For BetterHelp, and you should check it out and go get yourself a therapist. It's never a bad idea to talk to someone.
Jamie, we made it through our first one, and we want everyone to know we barely hold on, but we want everyone to know that we also we're working on an email address for Helen, because a lot of people have been reaching out to Helen, so we're working on it.
Helen's actually sleeping right now.
You can't
tell, but
somebody was
she's
emailing about
because she never eats.
About her getting her yearly bonus, and we were like, yeah, after the performance review, because Helen stinks.
She doesn't do any work. Nothing.
She doesn't.
I just realized she forgot to send an email that she was supposed to send for me.
Yeah.
2
all right.
weeks ago.
Jamie, I'm going to say eggs before you start a new topic. Ovaries.
Out.
Good day.
I didn't start a new topic. You see?
You didn't. I'm proud of you.